Got some wooden bodied Spokeshaves here. Got two of them. I'll show you how I sharpen those. Now first I'll talk a little bit about them. This one's, I don't believe this fellow's making them anymore. This was KCWTW. I believe that stood for Kansas City Windsor Tool Works. It's pretty shave. It works great. It's got the mechanism it uses for depth adjustment would be these backing out or tightening up those screws right there, and it'll be hitting on this side of the blade, and then these knurls on the top side to tighten it down. Now these, I consider these low angle Spokeshaves. You can use them as general purpose Spokeshaves. Certainly the wooden bodies are nice to hold and to use. It's just that because they're low angle, they're a little bit less forgiving than the other Spokeshaves for general purpose, for general use. But they excel. But like I said, you can use them for that, and they're fine. But they excel at end grain, especially on the bottom of a Windsor chair seat that's pine. So another one here. This one is made by John Kraus, and it's a nice Spokeshave also. Hard to find John. He's back up in the mountains somewhere, and you can put a order in for one, and you might get one while you're still alive. Anyway, he builds them a lot like the old shaves, where the tangs were fit with friction, but he added some set screws here to help with that, tighten them up or loosen them up, and then he gives you a little tool to where you can take them in or out like that. So anyway, that's about all for the tool itself. Now we'll go to the blade. So on a blade like this, I flatten the back to give it a good reference point to sit on. And this blade right here, you don't have to do that. It's true across through there, and so it'll just lay down there. So you can see what I've done. I've added this wooden platform to my tool rest, and I've got it angled down, which looks like it's extremely dangerous. Probably is, but it works. Now typically I crown and true the stone. Now I've trued the stone, and if you want to see how I do that, you can go back and look at the other videos. But I don't crown the stone when I'm grinding this, because I've got to get all the way up to this edge, and if the stone was crowned, it wouldn't allow me to do that. So I've got a flat across the top. The corners are knocked off because I use the corners for draw knives and things like that. But I can still get all the way over. So I've trued the stone, but have kept it flat. So I flatten the back of this, and I'm going to reference off of that. Now, of course, one thing that has to be done first is the bottom has to be dead flat. So you're going to have to hone that and work that up to your stones if the bottom of yours is not flat. This one has a hollow grind in it, which makes it easier to flatten because you're only hitting on the back and on the front, so you're removing less material. So much easier to get it flat. But if this edge is even just slightly rolled over, it ain't gonna work because it references off the bottom right there. And so anyway, so you got to get this back flat and shiny and mirror polish on it. Okay, so first I'm going to check out and see what my angle is that I have on here, and it's probably what I want. It's probably 28, but I want to make sure. So I've got my square set on 28 degrees there, and then I can just run the edge in and take a look at it, and yeah, so it's sitting right on 28. So now I want to set up the grinding wheel to where it's going to hit just dead in the middle of that bevel. Let's see, I use my left hand. So there's a mark where I can see what I'm doing. So I've already adjusted this, so it ought to hit right there. But we'll see if I got it right. Now I'm a tad bit forward, just a little bit forward, hitting right there. You can see that. So I don't know if I can, it's hard to get that little bit out of it, so I thought I might just bang on it, kind of crude. And look at that, it worked. I'm right in the middle of it. That's great. Okay. Watch those fingers. See if I can get a little smoother than that. So I'm trying to have a light touch on it. Okay, the grind's looking good. I'm not all the way out to the edge yet. And I ought to be able to feel a little burr when I get out there. Or you might not want to take it all the way out to the edge. There's really, you could take it right up to the edge and you could hone then past the edge or up to the edge. And that's a good way of doing it. So you might have seen on that first swipe when I was headed this way, I was repositioning my fingers and I stopped for a split second right there, and you don't want to do that. That's a good way to get a burn on your tool. It's also a good way to cut it in there, but I'm still looking pretty good. So let's see if I've gotten to the edge. Yeah, I have. I'm to the edge all the way around. So now I'll take it to the stones. So I'm over here at my stone, and so I go from, this is a 1200 grit quartz stone, and I typically use two stones off of the grinder. I use a 1200 grit and I go to an 8000, and that's it. So I've got my 1200. I've flattened it, and if you want to see how I do that, you can go back to some of the previous videos. But I've got it all prepped and flattened. And so now I'll hone it. And flattening this thing for this blade is real important because the blade is a little bit wider than the whole entire stone. So in other words, if you're sharpening a 1/4 inch chisel, then you're only taking up a small little spot. You can get by with a stone that's not so flat, but this one you can't. So just rub metal on stone is what you do. Just take a look at that and see if that's true. Yeah, I'm hitting all across that edge except right there. Looks like I'm starting to hit there, but so I must have had a little yip on the grinder or something, but it's not much. Okay, that should get it. Yeah, that's there. Okay, so now I'll change out my stones. I'll go to the 8000 grit stone. Got the 8000 grit stone, and I flattened it, and so now I'll just hone with it. So I've worked up a burr on that back side. I'll put it just flat down and take that burr off. We ought to be able to fill it on that side. Come back over here again. A few swipes over there. And let's take a look at it, see what we got. I don't know if we're there yet or not. Found a clean spot on this towel. Huh, feels pretty good. Let's go add a little bit more. That looks good. That looks good. That feels better. And so I'm raking the edge of the fingernail across it, see if I can pick up anything. You'll pick up any burr that's been left. And of course you pick up a nick, which there shouldn't be a nick. And then for sharpness, you can see if it grabs the nail at an angle. And it does. So let's put it back in the body and see how it cuts. Okay, so I got my pine block up here. So I got in-grain pine, which, as I say every time when I'm showing you if I've gotten something sharp, that it's the hardest wood to cut because it's so soft. And if your blade is not extremely sharp, it will smash. And then you take this low angle Spokeshave and you ought to really be able to get a nice finish on it and get a peeling off of that ingrain. So right there you go, and that's the ingrain peeling that came off of it, and leaves a nice waxy surface there. So there we go, that's the way you sharpen a wooden body Spokeshave.